We have golfing royalty from the UK, Tommy Fleetwood, on the channel. We're going to do a what's in the bag today for his brand new stuff in 2025. Be sure to hit subscribe. This is Tommy's first time on the Trottie Golf channel, mate. You excited? Little nervous about this? Or
I thought you'd have asked for me sooner, but...
I put the request in.
No, I don't think you did.
So, a lot of clubs here, and I'll take this, I'm leaving this last head cover off. We're going to start with that one.
Yeah.
Nice memories.
It's a cool head cover, isn't it? It's
Very
one of the
cool
coolest things about playing in a Ryder Cup is you get the head covers and stuff, and you don't have them when you play.
The rest of them are all branded, but then that head cover goes on just to show and represent colours.
That one stays on, yeah.
So let's start with Fairway Woods. There are two models in here, and you're very much in the testing phase, right? Talk to us about where your head is at with those two models.
I've hit this one the most. I never get the terminologies right.
Core, that'd be the core model.
This is the core, and it's obviously the head is just what it is.
Bonded.
Bonded is the word. So
I'll keep helping you out through this if you want.
We don't all know everything. But for me, yeah, I think bonded is easier to change lie angle. You can give it a bit more bend, and but having said that, I quite like having something set and knowing that I'm happy with it. But just this is the one that I've hit the most so far, and I've had a lot of success and nice shots with it. But this is a beautiful looking club actually, and I hit a few before and hit some nice shots. So this you can swap and change.
So how long will it take you to get used to certainly a 5-wood, which you're renowned for being a strong wood player?
Yeah, fairway woods are an important part of my game, to be honest. I am not like one of the longest hitters, so when you get to par 5s and things like that, the fairway woods play a big role in scoring for me and being comfortable with that. And then, you know, the way that you set up your bag, you want different things, don't you? I mean, you have your driver. Some people don't like a 3-wood because they don't hit it off the tee, so then they work their driver a lot. And then they'll have another wood lower down. I mean, for me, you know, obviously driver, I love being able to do different things with it. I have a mini driver, which has been awesome for me.
And this stays in, week out.
Mini driver stayed in, yeah. And then the 5-wood for me, I love 5-wood being as versatile as possible.
Okay.
I love being able to, you know, say you have a stock yardage with it, which might be 250, 255. I love being able to get like a bit more out of it and have a hotter flight, but equally, there'll be times I want to hit it 240, 235 and fade it, and I just like a 5-wood being very, very versatile.
So that's your 250, 255. You got two of these. Is this just, they both look to me like they're tipped the same?
Same heads, two different shafts at the moment. But these are both at the moment like the original mini head. Yeah. But yeah, just again, we've been doing a little bit of work with shafts. So like, the fitting process with the driver, we did some work with different shafts, but then once you've changed one shaft, I like things being as constant as possible throughout the bag. So obviously when you pick up a driver and you've got one shaft in it, which is actually something I don't have that much knowledge about, but the shaft will feel different in the handle, it'll feel different in the tip
section.
And then if you have like 3 different shafts in your woods, like it's great if all of them work, but at the same time, it's like picking up, you know, it's like having 3 wedges with different grips, different weights, different whatever, and it just, like, for me, I want things to flow as much as possible, so we're going to be trying this shaft in my mini driver and my driver at the moment.
So basically, but you will go heavier as you go down through. Yeah. So as the shaft goes shorter, you go heavier, but you like to keep the same model all throughout.
Yeah, and actually this Curry Cage shaft is actually a very old shaft. I've used it in my woods for a long time, but these are very similar profiles actually. So different shafts, but these are actually very similar, which actually is quite comforting.
And this is the first time I've seen one of these. This is the TaylorMade Core 9-wood at 24.
I have it a 9-wood.
Never hit one. Need to do some stuff on it on the channel for sure. Maybe you can give us a little run into that. Like 9-woods. What do you love about this? How far does it go? You got 250, 255 on the 5-wood, and then what's the 9 giving you?
Between 230 and 240. It's actually, so carry-wise, it's not that much different to my forehand, but it's a very, very different golf club.
Okay, in terms of peak height?
In just terms of peak height, the softness that I can create with it in terms of landing on the greens, and it's easy to hit than a long iron.
How would you, I mean, there's the visual on the difference between the 5-wood. Yeah. How would you get someone, if they're looking to get a 9-wood, how would you go around that? Just like 1.5 inches less than your 5-wood, or how did you get there? I guess it just goes down like irons and stuff, but I don't know how you would get to a specific, I guess you would feel something that's comfy. The thing is with it, you know, the thing is with something like a 9-wood, you're not going to use a 9-wood for distance. That's one thing for sure. You're not using a 9-wood to be like a hot club, and you're not really going to use a 9-wood as something you particularly use off the tee all the time. Yeah. So it's like a very specialized club. So whatever you're comfortable with in whatever length, I would just test a few lengths out, because you know you're going to have it for like certain types of shots. Like there's actually
it can do a lot of stuff, no doubt, but there's so many things that I'm not going to use it for that I will use other clubs for.
Yeah.
So I think there's no rights or wrongs in a 9-wood, it's just what you're going to be comfortable with.
So when it comes, there's a full squad here. I mean, that's for sure. We've discussed the weight, the 9-wood's a specialist club, love that. But when you get to a tournament course, how do you make the decision? Because I take it the 9-wood and this are doing the same yardage. This is the 4-iron.
Well, they're close, but the things that will change will be 4 to pitching wedge are always stay in. They're stock. 60 and 52 always in. Putter, you have to use putter, that's always in. Driver, mini and 5-wood are basically always in.
Okay.
So it's a 9-wood, a 3-iron, or an extra wedge.
Okay.
That's what I would work with.
Every week you're traveling with multiple clubs on the tour.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then it's squad course dependent.
Yeah, and I mean, you know the courses, so you generally, you know, for the most part, we've played a lot of the golf courses, so you know what you're going to expect, and you know what your bag setup's going to look like. But every now and again, a course might be playing a little bit different. Yeah. Conditions might change in terms of wind and weather, and you'll know throughout the practice rounds what's working, what's not, and certain types of shots that you've had, and you'll do that, you know, chop and change accordingly.
You don't change this much, Project X65?
I had that shaft since I was 14,
Yeah. Which a lot of people are in that. Like Rory's been in his for ages. They love it, right? It's but you go iomic and then you go the brush cord on the woods. What's that for? Why different?
I've always hit a lot of balls, and I got iomic grips in about maybe 2011. Yeah. I wanted like the softest grip I could find in a way, because I hit a lot of balls, and at the start of every year, say I'd had like a bit of time at Christmas where I'd been in cold conditions, come out in warm and my hands just got battered. I wanted something to be as soft on my hands, as forgiving on my hands as possible. Found these iomics, they felt great. I went into them, didn't feel right in my woods.
Really?
I was using these BCTs at the time, so I kept the BCTs on the woods, and then on the wedges was the same thing.
Just didn't feel right on the wedges?
It just didn't, for whatever reason, they just didn't feel right. But if I have played with BCTs on my irons, so I could use them in my irons, but I'm so used to them now that I like these. So these feel better. So it's just, you know,
personal little thing.
It's just a personal little thing, and I've tried, you know, different setups of grips and everything, but this is just what I always come back to and what I always like and feel comfortable with.
So as we get into wedges, I mean, that right there is the low bounce. You've always had a high toe 52 from what I can remember. You've got another low bounce here, mill grind 4. But they're quite flat. Always thought that about your wedges. You play them quite flat, right?
I think they probably are, yeah. I pick other people's wedges up and they're upright.
So how did you decide, look, I'm going to play flat wedges? And
not something I think I probably ended up getting fit into that.
Okay.
And it probably just happened naturally, really. I think I mean, they can go too flat. There's times when, you know, I've definitely been out there and hitting lob wedges and pitch shots and they're falling right on me and it's ended up being too flat. So you have to find that. That's, you know, lie angle is something that is very, very important. Lie angle and loft, every week I am playing on the tour, I have the guys check them on the truck.
Do you ever change it for how firm the courses are?
No, I know what I want my numbers to be, and I know how my irons and wedges should be reacting, so I'll hit them. And even if, you know, we've checked them, I'll hit balls on the range and I'll be monitoring my numbers. And at times I'll say, you know, I'll realise something just looks a little bit out, and then I'll go check it. And even, you know, half a degree or quarter of a degree on lie angle, like it does have an effect for me.
So I've not seen this before. I'm gonna have you explain it, because I was looking at that. I had to look at it twice to be like, what's going on here? Full face score lines and a belly on the 60s. Belly on the leading edge, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
I like quite a rounded.
That's what it looks like to me. Yeah.
I do like quite a rounded wedge. I've messed at times with sort of cutting some heel out, but then it just ends up getting a bit too offset for me. Yeah. But the roundness is something I like. I like to be able to get, you know, sit that club under the ball. I don't want the leading edge, like a sharp leading edge, and just sitting on top or sitting like it's like halfway at the ball, things like that. So like the full groove thing, I just wanted to try it. I've seen, you know, the wedges like this and never gone into them that much. And it's nice for me to have a 52. So I've always had the high toe 52. I struggle with a high toe 60. So like a more rounded club for me just works better in a 60, but with the full grooves, that's just when I go back to you wanting things to flow in your bag and be as consistent as possible. That to me, I'm looking at two of the same things when I have a 52 or a 60. And then the one thing with full grooves is I think it's easy, because you don't have any references throughout the face, it's easy to then start striking it towards the toe. So then this bottom groove centers the club face up nicely for me. So, because that, you know, that's like, you know, half of a bottom groove, if you like. So that centers.
So that's almost your leading edge, and then you allow that false leading edge or belly to do the job. See, there's a lot that I know you think about. So S4s in the wedges, 6.5 in the irons, that makes total sense. A lot of people will relate to that. We're going to come to this last because it's also new. Now, you are one of the few people, I hope, who still own the P7 TFs. Do you have?
I do have some TFs, yeah.
How many sets of those were made?
1 or 2.
I mean, I like them.
It never had a future.
So talk to us about that, because he had his own P7 TF. Looked the same, was the same?
The shape was literally, I mean, as identical as you would get it. It was a different groove pattern.
I'm gonna say this is your groove, not his. Yeah.
It was a different groove pattern. But ultimately the TFs were a TW iron. But at the time, a few years back, I was coming out of a certain groove that was in my old irons, and I think we just put them in there as trying. I've used them once really. The rest have always been TW irons. I just think they're a great iron, and I just think that's how an iron should look and be modelled on. Yeah. And
tell us about this new puppy.
This is a shape that I've used for a long time. I love testing putters. I love trying new putters. I just think there's so many great ones out there, and I really enjoy that process. However, from a performance standpoint, no matter how many I try, I always fall back to something, a head that is very similar to this. I actually saw a group of these heads, like these model heads, in San Diego at the Kingdom when I was last there. And so Truss, you remember Truss technology? That was that what, 5 years ago? Maybe longer. Something around that time. And I actually liked Truss. I thought it was a great concept, great technology. But really, a truss is a plumber's neck, like big version of a plumber's neck, and it was very centre shafted. Although they did make a couple more models. But I said, I just asked the question. It was one of those things that we spoke about, and I said, well, how do you think it would go if we tried truss technology in a flow neck? Like nobody's ever done it before, tried it, and Kia, was all over it. He wanted to have a go at it. He was really excited about it, and then we made some molds, and then we ended up with this, and it's came out amazing. So I've basically got, for me, it's a head shape that I like, a flow neck and an offset that I'm so used to, with the truss technology to help me with the stability through the face. I think it's actually a really difficult to get, for somebody that's putted with a blade putter for a long time. I've always found it very difficult to have something helping me in terms of stability that doesn't take away a certain amount of feel or a certain amount of face rotation, or there's always a bit of give and take, and I've always found it very difficult, and I've always just come back to, when I put my best and when I stroke it my best, I will use a putter that actually doesn't have any technology in it, in a way. But that's how I've always, putted my best. So, this has come out great. I've
seen that. I'm going to get to that. Okay. Firmest insert of the 3 that we make, I believe, which I was surprised on your previous one you loved, that's what you went for.
So I think the 2 things about inserts or face is ball speed and sound. And this has been the most similar for something that I've used for a long time.
But the comment I was next added to that is, for the time you've had it, I mean, you must have hit. There's a strike mark in the middle of this thing, tiny.
There's some off the heel, but I wasn't using the line on those. It wasn't a heel strike.
You must have put some time in with that already.
Yeah, of course. I mean, your equipment's everything, and if you're going to make a change, the amount of work I feel that you can get something that you feel like comfortable with very quickly, but then there's playing tournament golf, and there's when you're under pressure, and it's not, a lot of the times, you can get things that work great very quickly, but you only get the experience of something when it's not working well, when you're not stroking it well or you're not swinging it well, how you're then going to manufacture your way around the golf course, how that's going to react when I pull my stroke inside, which is my tendency, and hit it off the toe. You have to put a lot of work in getting it wrong and seeing how the clubs and whatever you've had fitted react, actually. So yeah, it's very easy to get something fitted when you're swinging it well, but for us, we play so much golf, you're under a lot of pressure at times, you're going to hit bad shots, you're going to have bad swings, you're going to fall into tendencies, and you have to, like, for me, I feel comfortable when I've done the most amount of practice I can, almost getting things wrong and seeing how then I can make the clubs work.
So how do you practice to get things wrong?
Well, if I practice enough, I'm going to get it wrong. So, I have the luxury of golf being my job, and I can, put as many hours and repetitions in as possible, and when I know I've got something's wrong, which just happens, that's just natural. I'll then learn off that and how that reacts.
Then grip, you've obviously been on that for a while, the slightly thicker one, and you've been on that model for a while. Yeah. How did you stick there on that?
I use the claw grip. Yeah. So I hold it in my left hand, so I need some, you know, for me, this grip has always done really well in where it fits into my left palm and how the width of that and how my hand goes around it, how I get my left thumb and my forefinger to make, you know, one line, which is then the club face. It's just always fit, you know, really well. And, you know, for me, it's just something that I've had varying different styles of this grip, but this one, you know, for me, this is the one that I always go to.
And I have seen you play around with stepless, step shaft, try different putter shafts.
Yeah.
Again, another rabbit hole that you can get in.
Well, absolutely. I think a shaft in a putter can really help you. I think it can add stability, but it does go back to a lot of trial and error. And like I say, again, it's very difficult to start changing shafts for stability and not give up something else.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that you really have to spend a lot of time on. So, you know, for me, I will definitely experiment in shafts again. Like, there's no doubt about it. But this shaft is one that I've always had.
Yeah.
And then I've added the stability in the face now with the Trust technology. So that's something that's really helped me. Who knows what the future might hold and what shafts I try. But I think a shaft is a great thing to experiment with in a putter for sure.
So you change something and something else you got to give up. That seems to be the theme through the bag. I noticed you got blue grips on everything for Everton, I assume.
Yeah, I mean...
I know. You're going there. I was going to leave it. You can go there if you want. That could be a problem down the line.
Yeah, I mean, Red's...
This is the other side of town right here.
It's not... I mean, is it red? It's more like burgundy.
It could be West Ham, I guess. But I mean, a Liverpool fan is going to claim that as a Liverpool golf shaft.
I don't know about that, but it was one of the first things I noticed.
I could see you've not. That's why I'm surprised it's made it into this what's in the bag.
Because I was in the Ventus Blue as well, and it was perfect.
I know.
Yeah.
Might have to have a chat with them about that.
I'm just going to call it. I'm going to call it burgundy or maroon, whatever that is.
West Ham colours.
I can't call it red just yet.
Awesome. Guys, I hope there's a lot that you enjoyed in there. Get down in the comments. As you can tell, Tommy Fleetwood has an inner golf gear head geek within him. He's tested these clubs more than anyone else. It's going to be awesome to watch him put them to good use. Good luck, mate, for next year.
Thank you
so much.
Thanks.